Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is Crystal Hill from Hill House Publishing, and today we are sharing our launch of the book Beyond Coincidence, Visionaries Unlock the Mysteries of Synchronicities and Success. And I am joined by some of the authors today as we are releasing this book into the world to share our wisdom, to bring awareness to the fact that we can co-create our lives with the universe, with God, source, whatever you choose to call it, that higher power, that we are not victims of our circumstances. And so I'm just so excited to bring this book. It's number 3 in the Beyond series. All these books are here to raise the consciousness on the planet. So I'm just really, really excited that we are already number 1 in new releases, both in the US and in Australia. So welcome to all of you authors, and congratulations for this. We're off to a flying start. So how are you all feeling? Maria, let's start with you.
I'm so grateful and very excited. I feel very honored to be a part of this group and have gone through this launch process. I've learned so much, and it's been wonderful to connect with these incredible women. And I'm really looking forward to reading more of the stories and hearing more of what these women have to say, because I'm super stoked. I know there's a lot of wisdom being shared here in this book.
Absolutely. How about you, Dr. Jessica Satori? Jessica, how are you doing? How are you feeling? It's not your first time, but you're an author.
I'm so stoked. It's such a wonderful thing. And it's a different feeling when you have your own book to when you have many authors. It's a total community. And I couldn't wait to get online at 11 o'clock Seattle time when things open, floodgates open, and I could start to see how things were climbing and what people had to say. And yeah, it's so great.
It's so exciting. And you're right. It creates this, the community makes it all just so beautiful and exciting. Nicole, first time author. How are you feeling?
It's been a roller coaster, but a good one, a good roller coaster. I too, this morning, actually it was 2 o'clock. I'm on the East Coast. Was like ready to launch, sitting there at my computer. I had a couple of just nice chats with supporters and friends today, and tons of messages from friends this morning saying, good luck, we're here. And it's just been a really cool experience. And I echo what you both have said about the community and the group. Going through it together, not alone, was really just, supported and understood that this process is a birthing. It is a catharsis. It is an entire reflective process, and it's been incredible, absolutely incredible. Thank you, Crystal, for bringing this amazing group of people together.
Yeah, and for having this cool idea of this series and this particular book. This concept I know is really popular. So many people wrote to me that they were really looking forward to reading the book, and I got a lot of messages today about people that had purchased it and were interested in reading it and wanted to get the other 2 books. There was a lot of excitement about this topic. People are really drawn to this idea of synchronicity and wanting to know more and understand, miracles and how we can appreciate them and be more in tune with them and create them, draw them into our life.
Absolutely. And I feel like it's coming very timely with, for me, when I was tuning in and thinking, okay, what do people need to hear? What do we need to collectively? And I was curious, for myself, I was curious to see, well, how can I increase the synchronicities in my life? What better way to explore that and to create a book about it and gather, another 14 people who are all investigating this project, this thought, this idea. And because when we focus on it, then it can increase. And so with that, I would love to hear from each of you what your work is about and how synchronicities perhaps feed into that work. And then we'll go around again and share what specifically you've shared, like a teaser, not specifically, won't give anything away. People can purchase the book and the link is down below, scrolling there. But what was your intention for the book and your intention for the reader? But that's the second question. So right now, let's just hear who you are and your resonance or connection and experience with synchronicities. And Relitza has just joined us, so I'll bring her in as well. Welcome. So let's start with Jessica this time. In fact, I will take one of you off just so we can see people who are speaking a little bit bigger, but we'll rotate it around. So Jessica, share with us who you are and your experience with synchronicities.
So I'm a professor and poet, and I've been studying synchronicity for over 25 years. And this was the first time I've got to, be in a communal project about it. So I studied synchronicity as a scholar. So I studied Carl Jung, Wolfgang Pauli. So I got to bring that kind of scholarship into this book, which it's a gift. And I was delighted to bring that in.
Wonderful. And of course, you have already written a book on synchronicities. Was it 20 years ago?
25,
like
yes.
25 years ago, that you're now relaunching later this year. So this is like a teaser for people who haven't met you, if they want to dive deeper into your work, then that is what, they can reach out to you, connect with you, and experience the full gamut in a book of your own. In this book, we have lots of stories that are quite incredible, and my roosters agree. They're not mine, but they're on the property. Look, I don't know if you can hear them, but they're really loud. Thank you, Jessica. Let's move to Nicole. Let's move over to you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So synchronicities came into my life without me planning them or expecting them or thinking they were even real. I was a very left brain person when a personal tragedy happened a few years ago. And like many people today, I found myself sort of roaming the earth looking for answers as to how this existence could be more empowering, trying to search what was right for me and find a truth for me. And as I explored so many different approaches to, manage my weight and my body and my self-love and healing through trauma, I started to realize that as I worked on me, the world became different around me. And so it just became something that almost became funny. I'd say, I can't believe that just, and that just, and that just. And I see them every day. I'll be working through a topic or a thought curiously, and many of my clients will be working on the same topic. And as I kind of work through it, I have exactly what I need in that moment to be able to share some insights. It's incredible. They happen all the time. And now I see them all the time. And it's just being in the vibration of joy and creation and what do I want, and tapping into who I am and my own truth. And that's ultimately what I do with my clients is, what they need, and what we end up working on is different every time. But ultimately what I am there for is to create a space where they feel safe and empowered so that they can tap into who they are, both mind, body, and spirit, however they, believe that or see that. And so with this book, I know we're going to talk a bit about more, but that's essentially part of that puzzle as well.
Beautiful. I love, how you shared who you are and your relationship to the synchronicities. It's so powerful and potent. Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Maria, let's move to you. Well, who are you? And your story in the book is just phenomenal, like all of them, but that it's so succinct what you have shared. So share with us who you are.
Well, I'm a healer, an acupuncturist, a retreat leader, and an empowerment coach. My mission really is to help empower my clients and my friends and family. I just want people to be able to be who they are, do what they're called to do, what they're here to do, follow their destiny, and become all that they can be. And I've had periods in my life where I've felt so much in alignment with the flow and knowing that, I'm following my passion and my bliss. This is what I'm meant to do. And then I've had periods where I was lost and stuck and confused and uncertain and really felt, I don't even know how to get back to doing what I'm supposed to be doing or being who I'm supposed to be. And it was through cultivating a connection with my inner wisdom and the sense of knowing that I found myself in certain situations where I was able to hear a voice that said, yes, this message is for you, and follow it, my darling, grow, darling, grow. And when you can hear that, and have the, the courage really, and the wisdom, all those things that it takes to say, okay, I think this is what I'm meant to do, and to go forward and do it, you can get into the flow of life and find so much um, joy and empowerment through doing what you're meant to doing, taking the risk and becoming all that you're meant to be. So I really believe in it. I've seen it in myself and in others, the transformative capacity of being aware of synchronicities by having a good relationship with your own inner wisdom, or perhaps it's divine support, or however you want to look at it, the higher self. But there's something to be said for being aware of those small miracles, that when we notice them, they can lead us on a path to great change and great transformation and the possibility of great joy.
Really beautifully said. And I love the words you used, the words empowerment. Was it adventure? You used 3 words that I thought, yeah, that's exactly how you're helping women to do this, because you're running adventure
Yes.
adventure tours, aren't you, where people have to step into their power, into their playfulness and their courage. So it's a beautiful reflection of the things that you just shared that we need in order to fully, step into our highest timeline and co-create and bring those synchronicities into our lives.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's really been so incredible to witness the transformation that comes about when people sort of step up to try something they didn't know they could do and come away realizing, wow, look what I can do. It's lovely, lovely.
Yeah, I have to agree. Thank you. Rolitza, let's move to you. Who are you? What are you doing in the world? And what is your connection or relationship with synchronicities?
Thank you. Hi, I'm Rolitza Spasova, and I'm calling in from the ancestral territories of the Coquitlam First Nations people, and I'm so grateful to be here. I am an immigrant to Canada. I moved here when I was 3. I'm a mother. Both my parents were born and raised in communist Bulgaria, so I had a very interesting upbringing. I watched my mom go through medical school in Canada, having to learn the language, having to learn everything, being a single mom for a short time before my dad came. And I think that really formed my understanding that I had a calling into medicine. So I graduated medical school and I had my son in the same year. And I tried to force it. I tried to push it. And I got into this state where I was completely out of alignment. And Maria mentioned it, and a few of the other authors mentioned it, that state of self-rejection that became so strong that I became a shell of the human that I was meant to be. And in realizing that, finally slowed down and really tuned in and recognized my calling into coaching. And I had a really strong judgment against it. I used to say I didn't get into medicine to become a coach. And then really honoring this gift of being able to see people in their essence and really being able to draw on people's strengths and their gifts and their talents, and reminding them that life, when we live it in a passionate way, we actually become this embodied version of ourselves where we get to just show up. We get to be balanced in our masculine and feminine, and we get to experience the world in such a beautiful way that flow state, which is, encouraged and reminded by synchronicities. And that was my path. And, part of my story that I share in the book was recognizing that life is always here, that we're never alone. And so telling the story, to come back to who I am, I think it takes the story to really inform, leaving healthcare to become a transformational coach. I've heard, Spirit has guided me and led me to say life alchemist, because I really string together the experiences that people have had in their lives to bring them into their gifts and into their greatness and into sort of that alchemizing, that transforming pain into joy and bliss and passion and pleasure. And so I'm a transformational coach using the mastery method and different methods, but really to help people ground in who they really are and who they came here to be, and have that acceptance and move into their passions. So. Yeah.
Mm. And in your chapter, you're sharing very much how synchronicities helped you to get onto that path, right? We'll get to that maybe in the second round. So let's move back to Jessica. What are you sharing in the book, and what is your intention for the reader with your chapter?
I wrote a chapter about synchronicity in transit. So I'm just a lifelong adventurer. I love to travel, and I've worked in 4 different countries, and I'm just I just have a thirst for other cultures. And so I wanted to tell the stories about different places I've been to. When I was in Korea and I was looking for the airport is one story, and I was desperate and I couldn't find a way out, and synchronicity happened and saved the day. It was and that's happened many times when I've traveled. And also in my chapter I tell the story of how airline travel was booked. It used to take 2 hours and lots of phone calls back and forth to get a ticket to fly on an airplane. And lo and behold, 2 people sat together next on a plane. And one was the president of an airline, and the other one was a vice president of sales for a software company. And they happened to sit together at the same time, and their inner needs and their outer business needs fell right into place. And they were the ones who developed the Sabre system that launched the airline travel industry and ticketing and reservations. So it's just a phenomenal story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I love how you're weaving your personal story into really explaining the underlying principles of synchronicities so that people can understand it and call it more into their lives. So
Right.
that's what I'm excited about, So the intention for the reader, what is that? What are you hoping that the reader will gain from your chapter or this book and your work?
Well, I give it a framework. I call it the Kismet synchronicity system. And what I want to do, instead of people just disregarding, oh, that happened, that wasn't really that important. Well, it is important. And I go through 4 different steps of how do you know if it's synchronicity. And of course, one of those steps is like those 2 men on the airplane, the inner need and the external world find a place together. And that's one major part of synchronicity. It has to be another one. It has to be meaningful to the people. Otherwise, I don't think it's quite synchronicity. And also it has to involve time and space and chance. What's the probability of chance? So those are the 4 different areas. So what I want the reader to do is just to maybe intellectualize or put in a framework of how we can understand these events and why they're meaningful and important, not only in our business life, but our personal life.
Thank you for sharing that. Yes. Nicole, let's move to you. I muted you. So let's unmute you again and share what was like a little snippet about your chapter, maybe that journey and your intention for the reader.
I will unmute me. There we go. I just unmuted myself. Thank you. So my chapter takes you through my journey of recovering through significant loss and grief. And in that process, realizing that I didn't know who I was or what I wanted, that I had lost the connection between my mind and my heart and my inspiration. And in that process of regaining access to all of those things, in different points of that journey, I focus on one or the other. But ultimately, when they all came online together and I was able to bring them in sync, that I had this incredible control of my own vibration. I could tap into my spirituality and what felt right, and I could find my truth, what I call my heart compass. Because ultimately, we hear a lot about manifestation and how to create the life that you live. But my intention was to show that we are all everyday humans. We all have access to that spirituality. No one is special. No one has special gifts that someone else doesn't have. But ultimately, why do we not? Why is it not easy? Why aren't we all just, billionaires with happy families and lives? And what is it about you that sort of is how you tick? And really being able to have that ability to be in resonance. And for me, the synchronicities were these beautiful signs that I was in sync. Because ultimately, I had many experiences where I was in a difficult place and I received help that was synchronistic. But I didn't see it that way because of the vibration I was in at the time. And it was only when I began to look for those signs out of curiosity and love and light and be in a place of empowerment that I saw them as magic and then began to use them as guides or breadcrumbs for direction, but in conjunction with how it felt in my body, in conjunction with whether or not this lit me up and made me feel good. Because now that I knew my worth and I understood what was true for me, I had a barometer to go exactly wherever I wanted to go. And really infused with so much love, compassion, and acceptance. And ultimately, that's what I, aim to provide. And so this story, I wanted the reader to say, I could do that too. I have the tools that I need to do exactly all of these same things. And I see her difficulty. I see the hard work she put in, but that all of it was worth it because it was in a direction that felt right to her. And ultimately, I just wanted to inspire. My hope is that both the readers and those that I work with directly will have that same belief and feeling, which is that they are the one they've been looking for this entire time.
Very well said. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. Maria, what about you? The chapter and your intention for the reader.
I'm so inspired right now just by listening to these other women and just how incredible people's take on synchronicities and how they can empower us. And that was certainly my intention for the reader in telling my story, was to offer inspiration and empowerment in a sense of, yes, you can. I too shared a time of difficulty and just the magic of having a unplanned conversation that brought up the possibility for me that I hadn't really considered or that I had rejected as impossible because I had that mindset of nothing will work. And listening to this man talk about how he was going to do this, and I was so encouraging for him. And when I went home, I realized, oh, why don't you encourage yourself? This could be for you. Listen to how you spoke. And I listened to myself and I could feel my own resonance going, oh, this is for me. And then I was able to open this floodgate of possibility and everything worked. And my whole career trajectory in life changed. And it was very beautiful and it took a lot of work. And, the follow through was long and hard. But the being in motion towards something that was worthwhile for me was amazingly empowering, as opposed to when I felt so stuck and confused and unknown. And I really want to offer that to anyone who is in a place of confusion or a place of uncertainty or doubt, or, we often have a negative voice that tells us, oh, I don't think so. That'll be too hard, or it probably won't be possible, or you won't like it anyways, or any of those millions of things that keep us from going forward and taking a risk and listening to, yes, this could bring me to something that will be good. It will be joyful. It will be worthwhile. So I told 2 stories of those occurrences where I had these conversations that just opened up a world for me. And my intention is for readers to begin to really cultivate that muscle of awareness where they too can see that there are messages for us in the world. I know there are many people who are extremely sensitive. They'll be sitting in peace and a bird will fly by and they'll realize, That is the message. But some of us, we need a 2x4 over our head to really be able to shift out of our stuckness. But we all can get there. We all can cultivate more sensitivity, more awareness, more ability to be in tune with what is right for us. And we can listen to that yes, rather than all of those excuses and reasons and negativity that I believe are there to keep us safe in a world where there are predators and primitive conditions. But we don't need that voice now. We need a voice of empowerment. We need a voice that says, you can be everything that you need to be, and you can meet all your circumstances with everything that you have, and you can channel grace and support, and you can know what to do by just tuning in and being aware. The universe will provide the signs and offer the path to you. So, to love yourself enough to go, okay, yes, I can. That's my hope for the reader. And it's what I offer in my retreats, that I want people to be able to experience this through all kinds of different modalities, but they all really lead to that sense of self-love and the ability to tune in, to work with your own inner landscape, your own energies, your own thought patterns, and come to that place of peace where you can really hear your yes.
So well said. And I love that, cultivating the muscle of awareness. And really, both you and Nicole were sharing the importance of that self-belief. And when we think we can, then we can, and we're looking for it. And I feel like this book really provides so many 14 different stories of moments where it happened. And and so that is the inspiration, that is the empowerment, that is the invitation to take action and to shift a perspective. So thank you for articulating that so beautifully. Let's move to Ralitza sharing. Whoops, that's not, hang on, different. Let me get back here. There we go. So many buttons to push. Here we are. So Ralitza, share with us a little bit about what is your chapter about and what is your intention for the reader?
Thank you, Crystal. Yeah, it's such an amazing experience to be able to put all the thoughts into writing and then see it come to creation, and to, be able to read it and recognize that, oh my goodness, my purpose, it's embodied now. And I think that's a lot of what the chapter is about, is being able to, like many of the authors said, be in our truth and really start to trust that truth regardless of what's going on around us. Really being able to claim our truth. And it can be very challenging depending on where we came from. And I think from our generation and everyone before us, we didn't have conscious parenting at the time. We didn't know what it meant to empower your child to speak their truth. It was mostly the opposite, finding ways to turn ourselves off or shut ourselves down so we can be good girls and nice boys and do the right thing. And I think coming out of that, I recognize that a lot of my tendencies and habits were in people pleasing, and I was very much out of my sovereignty. And so I share 2 stories of recognizing that moment. And because I had followed my synchronistic path when I moved away from family, when I moved away from everything I knew, I went to medical school, and then I was in the United States doing my clinical rotations, and I was truly on my own. And I woke up and I went to sleep and I did what I wanted to do, what was true for me. And in following that path, I met a man, I fell in love, we got married, had a baby, and somewhere along the way, I recognized I've been following this sort of magical journey where I've just trusted. There's no knowing, but when you trust, when spirit guides, or when, we follow our intuition, at some points when we compare to where we came from, in that judgmental space and that space of what do other people want for me, we fall back into that doubt and into that unsafety and into that fear. Oh my goodness, did I make a mistake? Now what are they going to think? What's everyone going to think? My life is doomed. And we start to really neglect and reject our truth. And so I think through that process, multiple times in my life, I've ended up in a state where I didn't recognize who I was. And the book is all about that moment where we catch ourselves. And like Maria said, I mean, some of us will hear the whisper, some of us will get that breadcrumb, and others just need to be hit over the head with a 2x4 or be in a toxic relationship for 3 years or whatever that looks like. And eventually, though, when we hear that voice, no matter how long our fuse is, hearing that voice, I think, is a lot easier when we're able to resonate and identify with someone else's story. So I think my intention for the reader, regardless of where they are on their spiritual journey or evolution, is to recognize that no matter where you are, we are still human and we will still have experiences where we're out of that alignment. You know, we're not in that 10 out of 10. And really to recognize if you're not in that flow state and in that alignment where synchronicities are kind of constant and you know, I call them spirit tribe and my friends make fun of me for that. But the people that really understand you and know you, that person that's going to call you when you're feeling down and they don't even know, they're just checking in, or, you know, that sign outside that you see, all the things that are sort of there for you to guide you back to yourself, is, I guess, to remind the reader that we are never really alone. And sometimes we just have to ask for guidance and it will come. Sometimes we have to slow down and tune into ourselves and really trust that inner voice and just take one step. Just take that first step. And with that first step, we get to really see the universe give us that mirror, that reflection that we've done a good job. And it's okay to take the next one and the one after that. And then it starts to become sort of back into that aligned synchronicity that's constant, and it's so juicy and it's so beautiful. So that's what I'm hoping to see, that there is a way, and the way is just so beautiful that maintaining the resistance, it's just not worth it. It's so much easier to take that step, you know, to feel those emotions, to do that 90 seconds of grief and anger and frustration and all the different things that we stop ourselves from doing out of fear, that, oh my goodness, what's going to happen next if I just am who I am? It's just that encouragement and that empowerment to take the next step. Thank you.
Amazing. There is just so much wisdom just with the four of you here, and so much wisdom was shared this morning in the first panel discussion, and more will be shared later on. And of course, the book is the ultimate combination of everyone. So much inspiration, so much guidance. It's a book that you can pick up when you're feeling down, in those moments when you're not in the slip road of synchronicities, to get yourself back on track. So yeah, I invite you, grab your copy now if you haven't already. Let's make this book into a bestseller so that not just our communities, but more and more people can see it on Amazon. Leave us a review as well, because Amazon will expose it to more people if you do. We would be extremely grateful for that. We do also have an event coming up on the 17th of June at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings, which I'll link below, where you can meet all of the authors and come into a conversation. We'll do breakout rooms. They'll be guiding you through some transformational experiences to help you dive more deeply into, stepping into that co-creative space with synchronicities and with the higher guidance. I want to thank you so much for all the wisdom you've shared in this panel, but also in the book. And may it reach those synchronistically who need to reach it. May it just drop down out of the book, out of the bookshelf, out of the virtual bookshelf, by people seeing our posts and coming across this podcast or this panel discussion. May there be synchronicities in all of our lives. Thank you so much again. And may we all just be really embodied in that co-creative synchronistic flow state.